Today is November 17th, 2023. This journey has been almost 3 years now, and still I'm not profitable. But people around me, they are profitable. They know what they're doing. And for me, I don't know what I'm doing. So here's an example of what I did today, which is a clear evidence of me not knowing what I'm doing as a day trader. So I have a couple of setups that I have in mind. Okay, I have a couple of setups that I have in mind, but I have not clearly defined these setups. So I traded Meta today, and when I traded Meta towards the close, I saw a huge green spike, and I saw a huge red spike. So when I saw the huge red spike, my thought entered into my mind, short it because it's going down further. And as soon as I shorted, it started going back up. And I saw this huge green candle. I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm going to long it. So as soon as I longed it, it started to reverse and come back down. Then afterwards, I realized that within that short 30-minute period of my session, which essentially took a big chunk out of my challenge account, was that it was actually trading around a box. So which meant that huge green candle was essentially, the way that it worked out was a reversal signal at the bottom of it, which meant that it was going to go back up because it reached the bottom position of that box that it was trading in. And when it was in a red candle, it was actually displaying that it was about to reverse and go to the other direction, trading in that region. So I said to myself, oh, look, that's going to go down. I'm going to trade it down. But in my mind, I have never investigated any type of such with a single or large candle in my life, ever. But I'm sitting in front of this computer and I'm trading it and I'm saying to myself, that's what it's going to do and I'm going to trade it, which doesn't make any sense at all. So what that means is there's a few things I need to work on, and one of them is really making sure that that's why professionals talk about backtesting, right? So backtesting, you have to have a setup. Backtesting has a specific identity of a setup. Okay? That identity, specific identity that has been investigated thoroughly and to the fullest extent that allows an individual, a professional, a day trader, to say, okay, that's what it is. Is that what it is? Okay, is it? Is it? So I have to identify. I have in mind this thing. Is it that? Is it this? Is it this? Okay, 1 minute later, is it still there? Is it that? Is it that? Is it that? So I have to identify. I have to identify that situation, which allows me to take care of these very difficult subject matters. The 3 subject matters, which is, okay, I have to enter on a setup and I have to exit on a setup. Okay? Because the exit is going to tell me the reason why I exit. The second part is now, what is the stop loss? Okay, stop loss. What is the stop loss that you're willing to take when the trade is not going in your direction? Okay, so that's the second part that I need to really establish. And the third part is emotion. Okay, so what kind of emotion am I in? What emotion am I in that allows me to have a clear mind when I make a trade? Okay, these are the three fundamental precepts. These are the three primary fundamental precepts of day trading. And I have to get these things really, really churned out. And the reason why it's called gambling is because when most new people who enter into trading, they see things, but they don't really identify or quantify the specific identity of a particular trade. And therefore, because there's no back testing, so everything is new information. And so when somebody who's in part of the 95% trade, they just go on news and say, well, somebody told me this, and then that's one of the reasons why. And then when, the price looks good, so it's a entry into a trade and exit out of the trade based on half truths, okay, or non-information, the lack of information that creates what a novice day trader is. Novice day trader trades based on non-information. But a professional day trader, now that I'm investigating this further after almost now 3 years, okay? This has essentially been almost 3 years. And it's November. Thanksgiving is next week. So now I need to investigate the ins and outs of how to identify that particular setup, and only take that setup when that setup comes is displayed. Okay, it's difficult because it has not fully formed, so I don't know, but I have to wait for that. I have to wait for that particular event to occur before I enter and then make the trade, because if I don't do that, then I am prone to gambling and emotion, because I would try it and it doesn't work. Because of why? Because the trade was made on emotion, and that emotion causes further degradation of that emotional control. Time to really buckle down now, okay? This is something that now that I have an idea what to do, now that I need to work on it, I have to work on it. A professional day trader said that they quit day trading for a little bit, and then went on demo, and they went on demo to backtest. So they identified a specific instance of a setup. That one setup is dip, and then it has a spike on there, okay? So that is an indication that there is a major trend reversal that occurred. That's a singular pattern that they have specifically identified. Once that specific identification is made, then that is a consistency that is a picture that can be placed into multiple scenarios to create a identification of that current setup based on the backtest, numerous hours of backtest, specifically pinpointing to that specific identification with a specific statistical probability based on that specific event. And then a trade is made based on that specific event. And when that specific event is identified, then the probability of statistical outliers are known, and therefore a stop loss can be assigned. And when I make that trade, there's no need to worry about reverse trading, because 1 and 2 will take care of number 3, which is revenge trading and that emotional outbursts of over trading, do it trading again. Because if I have a solid number 1, which is a setup, and then solid number 2, which is a stop loss, then everything else is taken care of automatically. So right now, what I need to do is categorize. I haven't done this yet. I need to categorize specifically what setups that I am familiar with, and only trade those setups because trading anything else is gambling. Does that make sense to you? Does that make any sense to you? If I have not specifically identified a particular setup, trading any scenario that is not a specific setup is irrelevant, and it is gambling. Does that enter into your mind? Okay? Does that make sense? I had no idea. See, I graduated from, despite the fact that I had to take multiple essays after graduating as an engineer, okay? And then I was actually working for a company for almost 7 years, okay? Testing multiple millions of parts. I was able to marry the most beautiful woman in this whole world. And I married this woman who was willing to give me 2 children. Okay? I was able to work at Micron Technology for 2 years, practically doing nothing, because I had to take care of my elderly parents. Okay? So I've achieved all this, and I have almost 20 years of experience as an engineer, and yet I was unable to see something so obvious. So obvious because the market just, when I put it in, sometimes it just gives. That's gambling. And then sometimes it just takes it away. Okay, that's gambling. Only now am I able to distinguish between what gambling is and what professional day traders do. I remember Chris Moneymaker was asked this question. Is playing poker gambling? And he says, well, let's put it this way. If you're a novice day trader, you may beat me once or twice, okay? But if we play multiple days, I will beat you more days than you'll beat me, okay? Why is that? Because Chris Moneymaker, I mean, this guy's good, has a statistical advantage because he knows the ins and outs of how to play play poker. Okay, so there's at least a couple of things. If I were to just, based on what I've seen so far, it's that there's a statistical probability of each card. Okay, that's one. Okay, that's one. And the other part is the emotional part of it, that human side. And he's a master of those two elements. But novice poker players don't know anything about emotion or tells or anything like that, or the statistical probability of 2 and a 3 versus 2 aces, okay? Or a suited connector between, so the statistical probability of winning versus losing is far less than somebody who is a professional day trader. So now, my job, I had no idea what my job was. Okay, my job as a day trader, okay? I wish somebody told me this. I wish somebody who is a professional day trader who just sat down with me and had lunch, okay? It's 2:43. I got to go wash dishes in about 45 minutes. Wouldn't it be great to have a professional day trader sit down, having lunch, okay, and take all the time in the world because the restaurant doesn't mind, okay? So I'm sitting there, and the other person is sitting there, okay? The professional day trader who knows this, okay? So I'm telling the professional day trader has to say this. He says this. The most important part about day trading is identification. Identify. Okay? I have to specifically identify a particular trade. Okay? And it'll work on any stock. And later on, I can trade the more volatile stock because it behaves the same way. It just trades at a bigger, wider range. Okay? That's how it works. So here's what needs to happen. It took me, now I'm going to go ahead and trade that way, which means that I would trade less. And some of these professional day traders talk about this. They say, oh, it's amazing that you don't trade that much, right? Okay. Even scalpers know this. Scalpers have a specific identification of a specific setup when they enter and specific identification of a specific setup to exit. So it is the identification of a particular setup. That's one setup. That one setup has so much information on it. One of the information is, how often does that happen? Okay. How often does it happen? And what are the stop loss associated with that particular setup? Okay. And then, what is the statistical probability in the efficacy of that particular setup? Okay. I have to identify all these things. Then I will only trade after I identify all that stuff, all that, it's incredibly difficult to do. I have to backtest. What is backtest? Backtest means go back, look at it, identify where that is, and see if it behaves the same way, categorize it. Oh my God, I'm just getting goosebumps right now. Okay, I just got goosebumps. I don't know if you can see the goosebumps. Oh yeah, I see my goosebumps. You see my goosebumps? Right there. That's it! That's trading! That is trading! That is day trading! Oh my God! I had no idea! I had no idea that's what I'm supposed to be doing. That is what I have to do. It took me, oh my God, it took me so many years. Oh my God. It's to identify. Create a statistical foundation on that trade. Then look for it in the market. And then when I see it, then take the trade. That's it. Okay? And everything else is a wrap around it, like, liquidity. But that setup could be related to that particular situation, okay? So if I see a particular setup around a specific liquidity zone, it's a combination that creates. That's why chess or first sequence of moves have so many complications, okay? So I have to tie in all these confluences. That's where the confluences comes in. To tie these together, create a picture that allows me to create a foundation. And I was wondering, how is this A+ setup comprised? How is it based on? How do I make this A+ setup work? Okay? So that's what it is. I have been gambling for almost 3 years. Now that's it. One word. If somebody asks me, what is day trading about? And all I have to tell them is identity.